What if I told you that the person who seems to run from love the most is often the one who loves the deepest? What if I told you that avoidance isn't the absence of love, it's often the proof of it, hidden behind walls so thick even they can't always break through? Listen closely, avoidants aren't cold because they don't feel. They're cold because they feel too much. Their nervous system has been wired, often since childhood, to associate closeness with danger. Love to them is not soft, it's fire, it burns, it terrifies, it threatens their sense of safety. So when you feel like they're pushing you away, when you feel like they're shutting the door, it's rarely because love is gone. It's because love is so strong it overwhelms them. And here's the truth you must remember: when an avoidant can't stop loving you, it leaks out in ways they cannot hide. It shows up in small actions, subtle signs, and behaviors they don't even realize they're doing. They may not say the words you crave. They may not hold you with the consistency you long for. But if you know what to look for, you'll see it. The strongest sign that an avoidant can't stop loving you. Today, we're going deep. We're not here for surface answers. We're here to uncover the real markers of avoidant love, the ones they don't talk about, the ones they fight against, the ones they can't escape no matter how far they run. By the time you finish this, you will not only understand how to spot these signs, you'll also understand how to stand in your power, how to stop doubting your worth, and how to recognize when love is present, even in the most complicated forms. So lean in, because what I'm about to share with you might just change how you see love forever. The very first and strongest sign that an avoidant can't stop loving you is this: they always come back. No matter how far they run, no matter how many excuses they create, no matter how much they swear they're done, they circle back. It might not be immediate. Sometimes it takes weeks, months, or even years. But when love has carved its mark on the heart of an avoidant, escape is an illusion. They cannot outrun the truth of what they feel. Now, you may ask, why? Why would someone who fears closeness, who fights vulnerability, keep returning? The answer lies in the paradox of avoidance. They crave what they fear. They desire love as deeply as anyone else, but they have been conditioned to believe love is unsafe. So the running isn't rejection, it's a coping mechanism. It's the armor they wear when the emotions get too heavy. And once they've cooled down, once the panic subsides, once the intensity fades just enough for them to breathe, their heart quietly pulls them back to the very place they tried to escape. Think about it. Love is magnetic. True love is gravitational. You can try to deny it, but it has a way of pulling you back into orbit. For the avoidant, you are both the magnet and the trigger. They fear the intensity of what they feel, yet they cannot deny its pull. So even in their silence, even in their distance, they think about you. They replay memories. They scroll through your messages. They rehearse conversations in their head. And sooner or later, that inner pull wins. When they come back, it may not look like a Hollywood moment. They may not show up with flowers, grand gestures, or apologies that make everything right. Instead, it might be something subtle. A random text out of nowhere, a meme sent at midnight, a question like, "Hey, how've you been?" As simple as it looks, this is monumental for them. Because for an avoidant, reaching back out is vulnerability in disguise. It's their way of saying, "I can't let you go. I need you in my orbit." And here's where you must be strong. Their return is not your validation. Their coming back doesn't define your worth. You already had that within you. But their return does prove something powerful. Love has reached them. Love has marked them. Love has found a way past their defenses. And though they fight it, they can't undo it. You've touched them at a level they can't deny, no matter how much their fear tries to argue otherwise. Now, understand this. When an avoidant returns, they often test the waters. They don't dive in. They dip a toe. They want to see if you're safe, if the connection is still alive, if they can handle the closeness this time without drowning. That's not weakness. It's their process. To them, safety is everything. If you can hold space without judgment, if you can stand firm in who you are, if you can show them love without losing yourself, they'll inch closer, slowly, hesitantly, but closer nonetheless. Does this mean every avoidant who comes back is ready for love? No. Read that again. Some come back out of comfort, out of curiosity, or out of loneliness. But the ones who can't stop loving you, their return carries weight. Because no matter how much time passes, no matter how far they've traveled, No matter how many distractions they've tried to bury themselves in, the pull of your presence is undeniable. That is not casual. That is not fleeting. That is love in its rawest form, fighting to survive through fear. Let me tell you a truth you need to hold on to. People can fake words, they can fake appearances, but they can't fake patterns. If an avoidant repeatedly finds their way back to you, if the connection refuses to die despite the running, despite the silence, despite the chaos, that's not an accident. That's a sign. That's love breaking through the cracks of avoidance. So when they return, see it clearly, not as your validation, not as your rescue, but as evidence of a love that refuses to be buried. Because in the end, no matter how far an avoidant runs, love always has the final say. And the strongest sign they can't stop loving you is simple: they keep coming back. One of the most powerful signs that an avoidant can't stop loving you is this: they are watching you, even when they seem distant, even when they say nothing, even when you believe they've completely forgotten you. They are keeping tabs in silence. Avoidants may run, but they don't erase. They may block you for a while, unfollow you, or create space, but deep down, they are still checking, still curious, still tethered. Why? Because when someone loves you, detachment is an illusion. The head may scream, "Move on," but the heart whispers, "Stay connected." And the avoidant heart, no matter how much fear it carries, cannot resist the pull of wondering how you are, where you are, and who you're with. They may not flood your inbox, but they'll check your social media stories. They may not ask you directly, but they'll ask mutual friends about you. They may not call you, but they'll notice when you post something new, when your mood shifts, when you disappear for a while. This is not coincidence. This is not casual curiosity. This is the evidence of love that refuses to let go. And here's the thing: avoidants are masters of disguise. They hide their emotions so well that you may doubt their care. But love is too heavy to mask forever. It leaks through in patterns. You'll see it when they linger on your page, when they accidentally like a photo, when they show up in places they know you'll be, when they drop a message that proves they've been following your journey silently. Why do they do this? Because watching you gives them both safety and connection. It allows them to feel close without the risk of vulnerability. It gives them the illusion of control. I can see them, but they can't see me seeing them. Yet behind that illusion is the deeper truth: they can't stop caring. And caring always reveals love. Think about it. If someone truly didn't love you, if they were done, if they felt nothing, would they bother? Would they spend energy scrolling through your posts, noticing your updates, staying linked in ways you don't always see? No. Indifference doesn't watch. Indifference doesn't notice. Indifference doesn't check. The fact that they watch, that they keep track, that they silently orbit your life, that's love refusing to die. Now, this doesn't mean you should live your life trying to provoke their watching. You are not here to perform for their silent eyes. You are not here to post for their reaction. You are here to live fully, with or without their attention. But their watching does give you clarity. It tells you something their words cannot. It tells you, I still care. I still wonder. I still love. Many avoidants will even deny this to themselves. They'll pretend they don't care. They'll tell their friends, I'm over it. They'll say to themselves, I don't need them. But at night, when they're scrolling, when they're alone, when the noise fades and the heart speaks, the truth rises. Love cannot be buried by denial, and the eyes reveal what the mouth refuses to say. This silent watching is often paired with small slips of vulnerability. They may comment on something you thought they weren't paying attention to. They may reference a post you made months ago. They may know details you never told them directly but forgot were visible online. And in those moments, you realize they've been there all along, just quietly. So here's the shift: when you notice an avoidant watching, don't see it as weakness. See it as proof of love. Because for someone who fears intimacy, who avoids closeness, who hides from vulnerability, watching is safer than confessing. But it's still love in action. It's still connection refusing to break. It's still a sign they can't stop loving you. And let me tell you something powerful. You don't have to respond to their watching. You don't have to adjust your life to prove anything. The best response is to keep shining, keep growing, keep living. Because the more they watch you step into your strength, the more they see you owning your light, the more their fear collides with undeniable truth. I still love this person, and I can't let go. Watching is not passive. Watching is attachment. Watching is proof. Watching is proof. And when an avoidant can't stop loving you, they may silence their mouth, but their eyes, their focus, their attention, it betrays them. And in that silence, you'll find the truth they can't hide. They are still yours even when they're trying not to be. One of the clearest signs that an avoidant can't stop loving you is this: their emotions slip through even when they're trying to hold them back. Avoidants pride themselves on being composed, detached, and in control. They don't like showing vulnerability because vulnerability feels unsafe. But here's the paradox: love is the one force powerful enough to crack their armor. And no matter how hard they try to hide it, love has a way of slipping through. Think about it. An avoidant will often give off the appearance of being indifferent, as if nothing phases them. They'll keep their words short, their tone flat, their face unreadable. But then, out of nowhere, you catch it. Their voice softens when they say your name. Their eyes linger on you longer than they meant to. Their reaction to you being hurt or distant is sharper than they expected. That's not performance. That's truth breaking free. Love is not logical. It refuses to be boxed in. And the more an avoidant tries to suppress it, the more it leaks in subtle but undeniable ways. You'll notice their frustration when you talk about someone else. You'll sense their energy shift when you withdraw. You'll catch their eyes lighting up at your success or their mood dipping when you're not around. These are the cracks in the wall they've built, and those cracks are golden because through them, the real emotion shines. Now here's something powerful: emotions don't lie. Words can deceive, actions can confuse, but emotions are raw. They are the direct reflection of the heart, and when you see emotions slip through an avoidance-controlled exterior, you're witnessing the evidence of love that they cannot manage, cannot deny, cannot escape. For example, let's say you're in conversation and they act casual, but then you say you've been hanging out with someone new, and suddenly their jaw tightens, their tone changes, or they pull back in silence. That's jealousy. And jealousy doesn't come from indifference. It comes from love. Or imagine you get sick, and even though they were distant, they suddenly check in, bring you something, or worry about you. That's care leaking through the cracks. Some of the most telling signs aren't even grand. Sometimes it's the micro expressions, the subtle changes in their body language, the quick flashes of feeling they can't mask in time. A smile they didn't plan, a sigh they didn't control, a flicker of pain in their eyes when they see you hurt. These moments are the truth shining brighter than their fear. And here's where it gets even deeper. Avoidants often beat themselves up afterward. They notice they slipped, that their emotions came out, and they retreat even harder to fix it. They may ghost after a vulnerable moment or act colder after showing care, not because they don't love, but because they're terrified of how much they do. This push-pull is the dance of avoidance, and if you don't recognize it, you might confuse their retreat as rejection. But in reality, it's fear responding to love that feels too raw. Understand this: if an avoidant didn't care, nothing would slip through. If they were truly done, their emotions wouldn't betray them. But when love lives inside them, no wall is perfect. No mask is permanent. The cracks appear, and in those cracks, you see the truth. This is why you must learn to watch beyond words. An avoidant might tell you, "I don't care," but their eyes say otherwise. They might insist, "I'm fine," while their actions scream concern. They might try to ignore you, yet every slip betrays how much they're affected. That is love alive beneath the armor. And let me give you this: don't chase those slips, don't force them, don't demand them. That only makes them retreat further. Instead, notice them, value them. Let them remind you that love is present, even if unspoken, because every time their emotions leak out, it's proof you've touched their heart deeper than they ever intended. And that is the strongest sign of all. So remember, an avoidant can fake distance, but they can't fake the cracks. And when those cracks appear, when their emotions betray them, you're witnessing the undeniable truth: they can't stop loving you. Another undeniable sign that an avoidant can't stop loving you is this: they protect you, often without even realizing it. Avoidants may struggle with expressing love openly, but when their heart is tied to you, their instinct to safeguard you slips through in quiet, powerful ways. It won't always look like dramatic gestures or Hollywood-style heroics. Instead, it shows up in the little things, the decisions they make, the way they step in without being asked, the unspoken acts that reveal one truth: they care about your well-being. Think about it. Love is protective by nature. When you love someone, you want to shield them from pain, danger, and unnecessary struggle. Avoidants, despite their distance, are no exception. In fact, their protective instincts are often even more revealing because they come from a place where words may fail them. Maybe they notice you're walking alone at night and insist on staying on the call until you're safely home. Maybe they hear someone disrespect you and suddenly their energy shifts, becoming defensive in ways you didn't expect. Maybe they quietly fix something for you, a tire, a broken item, a financial stress, without making it a big deal. That's love in action, not spoken, not paraded, but felt. What's fascinating is that avoidants rarely announce these protective moves. They don't usually say, "I'm doing this because I love you." In fact, they might downplay it, brush it off, or even act like it was no big deal. But here's the truth: avoidance thrives on control, and protectiveness means they've surrendered part of that control to you. They're invested in your safety, in your peace, in your life, and that is not something they do for just anyone. You'll also notice their protectiveness in the way they manage themselves around you. They may bite back words they know could hurt you. They may keep certain struggles to themselves, not because they don't trust you, but because they don't want to burden you. They may even distance themselves temporarily when they feel they could cause you pain, thinking, "I'd rather step away than risk hurting the person I love." To the outside world, that looks like coldness. But to the trained eye, that's protection. That's love hiding in plain sight. Sometimes their protectiveness shows up in boundaries they set. At first, you may interpret those boundaries as walls. But if you look closer, you'll see that often they're drawing lines not to keep you out, but to shield you from parts of themselves they're still working through. They know their triggers. They know their storms. And when they say, "I need space," sometimes it's not rejection. It's, "I don't want to hurt you with what I'm carrying." That's a twisted kind of love, but it's love nonetheless. Here's the critical piece. An avoidant doesn't protect everyone. They don't go out of their way for just anyone. They value their independence too much. They guard their energy fiercely. So when they extend their protective instincts toward you, that's a neon sign flashing, "I love you whether I can say it or not." Now, it's important not to confuse protectiveness with control. A controlling partner restricts you out of insecurity. A protective partner, even an avoidant one, safeguards you out of love. You'll know the difference because protection feels like support, while control feels like suffocation. Protection empowers you, while control weakens you. An avoidant in love will lean toward the former, even if they stumble sometimes along the way. And here's where the magic lies often. The avoidant will reveal their love more through their protective acts than through words. Because words are vulnerable, but action is safer. They can convince themselves, "I'm just being practical, just being helpful," but deep down their actions scream louder than any confession. "I love this person too much to let harm touch them if I can help it." So the next time you notice those subtle moments, when they stay up late to make sure you're okay, when they quietly solve a problem you didn't even mention, when they step into your corner without hesitation, see it for what it truly is. Don't miss it. Don't dismiss it. Because that's not distance. That's not indifference. That's love expressed in the language they feel safest using: protection. And sometimes that's even stronger than words. One of the most powerful ways an avoidant reveals that they can't stop loving you is this: they remember. And not just the big moments, the little things, the details, the subtle pieces of who you are that most people overlook. Avoidants may struggle to verbalize feelings. They may act detached, distant, or even cold at times, but their memory betrays them. Love imprints itself on the mind in ways that can't be erased. And when someone truly matters, the brain collects details like treasures. That's why an avoidant who can't stop loving you will remember things you thought they'd forgotten. It could be the way you take your coffee, the fact that you always get nervous before a big presentation, the random story you once told about your childhood pet, the song that makes you light up, the small dream you mentioned casually at midnight. They store it, sometimes silently, sometimes secretly, but it's there, etched into them because you matter. And when those details come out, it's not an accident. You'll hear it when they casually reference something from months ago. You'll feel it when they surprise you with something connected to your preferences. You'll notice it when they recall exact phrases you once used. These aren't coincidences, they're signs. Because remembering is love disguised as attention. And avoidants don't give that kind of attention to people they don't care about. Why does this matter so much? Because remembering the little things is intimacy. And intimacy is exactly what avoidants fear. So when their memory reveals your importance, it means love has broken through their fear. They may run from closeness, but their mind refuses to let go of the pieces of you that touch them. Let me give you an example. Imagine an avoidant who claims they don't do relationships or says they're not good with emotions. And yet, out of nowhere, they bring you your favorite snack when you're stressed, or they recall the name of your best friend from years ago, or they ask how that project you mentioned once is going. That's love, not logic. That's a heart remembering what matters most, even while the mouth denies it. Here's the key: avoidants are not careless. In fact, they often observe more than they admit. They watch, they analyze, they notice. And when they love you, all those observations stick. Even if they try to distance themselves, those memories pull them back, because love doesn't erase, it engraves. This is also why, even after long periods of silence, an avoidant can shock you by remembering details you forgot you even shared. You might reconnect after months apart, and they'll still know your favorite color, your sibling's name, or the way you like your tea. That's not casual. That's not random. That's love leaving footprints in their mind. Now, here's something powerful. Remembering is not just about information, it's about significance. When someone remembers you deeply, it means you've carved space inside them. It means you matter enough that their brain prioritized you. And for an avoidant, someone who usually avoids emotional investment, that's monumental. It means you've bypassed their defenses and landed in the part of them they cannot control. And let's be honest, actions speak louder than words. Anyone can say, "I love you." But when an avoidant who claims they're not emotional remembers the smallest pieces of your soul, that's truth. That's evidence. That's love showing itself without needing words. But here's the lesson: don't test them. Don't fall into the trap of demanding, "Do you remember what I said last week?" That turns love into a quiz. Instead, notice the natural ways they recall. Notice the unforced mentions, the effortless remembering. That's when you know it's real. And don't underestimate how much this remembering means. For someone who often feels overwhelmed by love, remembering you is their quiet way of holding on. They may run, they may retreat, but those memories are proof they've never let go. And that is one of the strongest signs of all. So the next time they surprise you by recalling something small, pause. Don't dismiss it as nothing. See it for what it is: love slipping past their defenses, proving to you and to them that you live in their heart, whether they admit it or not. Because in the end, people don't forget what matters. And if an avoidant can't stop remembering you, it's because they can't stop loving you. If you've ever been connected to an avoidant, you've seen this paradox. They try to let you go, but they can't. They'll push you away. They'll say it's over. They'll act cold, detached, and final. But underneath the performance, love keeps pulling them back. And no matter how much they attempt to bury it, the struggle reveals itself. Avoidants hate feeling dependent. They hate the idea that someone else has power over their emotions. So when love takes root, their first instinct is often to run. To them, closeness feels like loss of control. Vulnerability feels like exposure. And because they've been wired to equate exposure with danger, their mind whispers, "Escape before you get hurt." So they push, they detach, they say, "I don't care." But here's the truth: if they really didn't care, there'd be no struggle at all. The very act of wrestling with their feelings is proof of how deep those feelings run. Think about it: indifference doesn't wrestle. Indifference doesn't fight. Indifference lets go without looking back. But when an avoidant can't stop loving you, you'll see the cracks. You'll see them torn between running and staying. You'll see them retreat only to resurface. You'll see them end things only to circle back. That's not confusion. It's love colliding with fear. This struggle shows up in many ways. Sometimes it's in their words. They'll say they're not ready or don't want a relationship, but their actions contradict them. They'll still reach out. They'll still care. They'll still keep you tethered. Other times, it's in their silence. They'll vanish, but you'll sense they're still watching, still connected, still unable to truly detach. And often it's in their return, the pattern of leaving only to come back again. That cycle is not random. It's love refusing to be severed. Here's where you must reframe: their struggle is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of depth. Shallow feelings don't create battles this intense. But deep, enduring love does. It digs into their psyche, forces them to confront wounds they've avoided for years, and pushes them into an internal war. Fear vs love, safety vs connection, control vs surrender. And though this battle is exhausting, it's also revealing. Because every time they try to let go and can't, it tells you one truth: you matter more than their fear. Now, be careful here. This doesn't mean you should chase them, rescue them, or prove your worth. Their struggle is not your responsibility to solve. In fact, the more you try to convince them, the more they resist. Why? Because pressure amplifies fear. What they need instead is space to wrestle with their own heart. Because love that survives fear has to be chosen, not forced. But while they fight themselves, never forget what the struggle means. It means you've touched a place inside them that no avoidance can erase. It means your connection lives in them, no matter how much they deny it. It means their attempts to move on will feel hollow, because love is not something you can simply discard. This is why so many avoidants return after long silences. They may genuinely try to move forward. They may even get into new relationships. But eventually, the weight of unresolved love drags them back because the bond was never truly broken. The heart doesn't follow logic. The heart follows truth. And here's something even more powerful: sometimes the struggle itself is the clearest expression of their love, because it shows they care enough to wrestle. They care enough to fight their own nature. They care enough to be torn, even if they can't admit it out loud. If you weren't significant, they wouldn't feel this conflict. You'd be a memory, not a battle. So the next time you see them push and pull, retreat and return, understand it for what it is: love fighting to survive through the storm of fear. It's not clean, it's not simple, but it's real. And it's one of the strongest signs they can't stop loving you. Because in the end, the struggle itself is the evidence. The tug of war between their heart and their fear proves one thing: love is alive inside them, whether they like it or not. Avoidance may not always be consistent. They may vanish for stretches of time, keep their emotions locked up, and appear distant when you wish they were close. But here's a sign that cannot be faked: when the moment truly matters, they show up. And that is one of the strongest indicators that they can't stop loving you. You see, love isn't always proven in the daily rhythm of words or gestures, especially for someone who fears closeness. For avoidance, love is often revealed in crisis, in pivotal life moments, in those times when silence isn't an option. And when you look back, you'll realize even if they were distant yesterday, when the ground shook, they were there. Picture this: you're going through a major loss, an illness, or a deeply painful moment. The avoidant who once pulled away suddenly reappears, checking in, offering help, making sure you're not alone. Or maybe you hit a breakthrough in your career, a life-changing win, and they're the first to quietly congratulate you, even if they hadn't spoken in weeks. These are not accidents. These are love revealing itself in the moments that matter most. Why? Because when an avoidant can't stop loving you, their fear of intimacy temporarily loses its power in the face of urgency. They may be terrified of daily vulnerability, but when life tests you, their instinct to support you overrides that fear. And that instinct doesn't come from obligation. It comes from love. Notice something important here. Showing up doesn't always mean grand gestures. Sometimes it's subtle, even quiet. They may not deliver poetic speeches, but they'll send a message that says, "I heard about what happened. Are you okay?" They may not shower you with endless attention, but they'll make sure you have what you need. They may not stay forever, but they'll appear when you need them most. That presence, however brief, carries weight, because love has pushed past fear to reach you. Think of it like this: avoidance is a wall, but emergencies, milestones, and life-defining moments are earthquakes. They shake the wall, crack it open, and let the truth spill through. And the truth is this: when someone shows up at your hardest moments, even after distance, it's because they care too much not to. Another way avoidants show this is through reliability in specific situations. They might not be the partner who texts daily or expresses constant affection, but if your car breaks down, they'll be there. If you're in trouble, they'll find a way to help. If you're hurting, they'll quietly check in. That selective consistency tells you something big. They may run from love in the everyday, but they cannot abandon it in the critical moments. And let's be real, anyone can show up when it's easy. Anyone can be there when things are smooth, when emotions are light, when nothing is on the line. But it takes real love to show up in the storm. And when avoidants, despite all their fear, still choose to step in at those times, that's love overcoming their default pattern. That's proof they can't stop loving you. You'll also notice that when they show up, their care often feels authentic, stripped of pretense. It's not always polished. They may fumble their words. They may seem uncomfortable, but their actions are raw. They'll do what needs to be done. They'll be present in the ways that count. And those moments, however imperfect, shine brighter than any daily performance could. Here's what you need to remember: showing up is love in its purest form. It says, even though I fear closeness, I can't ignore you when it really matters. Even though I run, I can't abandon you when life hits hard. Even though I struggle with intimacy, I love you too much to let you face this alone. That is powerful. That is rare. That is truth. So if you've noticed that no matter how many times they retreat, they always reappear when life gets real, understand it for what it is: not convenience, not coincidence, but love. They may not shout it, they may not frame it as a declaration, but in those actions, they're saying the words they can't speak. You matter. I love you, and I can't stop, because in the end, showing up when it truly matters is the ultimate evidence of love. And when an avoidant does this, it's the clearest sign of all. They can't stop loving you, no matter how hard they try. The strongest sign that an avoidant can't stop loving you is not in the grand gestures, not in the surface-level words, but in the quiet moments when they let their guard down and allow you to see who they really are. For someone with avoidant tendencies, vulnerability is not casual. It's terrifying. To them, vulnerability equals risk. It means exposure, weakness, and the possibility of rejection. And yet, when love grows too deep to be hidden, when it refuses to be contained, they begin to let pieces of their real self slip through. This is love's most undeniable fingerprint. Think about it: most avoidants live behind a carefully constructed mask. They project strength, independence, distance. They convince the world that they don't need anyone. They act like they're self-contained, like closeness doesn't interest them. But masks are exhausting to wear. And when an avoidant can't stop loving you, the weight of that mask becomes too heavy to carry around you. They begin to relax it, and you, more than anyone else, get to see the truth underneath. Maybe it's the way they finally share a story from their childhood they've never told anyone. Maybe it's when they admit a fear, a struggle, or a hidden dream they've always buried. Maybe it's the moment they let you see them cry, even if they quickly turn away. These are not small things. For an avoidant, these moments are monumental, because what they are saying, without using the words, is, I trust you enough to be real. I care for you enough to let you in. I love you enough to let you see me as I am. And here's the truth: avoidants don't do this with everyone. In fact, they rarely do it at all. They may go their whole lives keeping people at arm's length, but when they can't stop loving someone, that love breaks down the walls. Not all at once, not dramatically, but slowly, subtly, piece by piece, until one day you realize they've let you into the parts of themselves that no one else has ever touched. You'll notice this shift in the little things too. They'll show you their quirks. They'll laugh in a way that feels freer. They'll let go of control for a moment and just be. That rawness, that authenticity is love in action. It's not scripted. It's not rehearsed. It's real, and that's rare for them. Now, let's be honest, this doesn't mean they suddenly become wide open. Avoidants will still struggle. They'll still retreat at times. They'll still wrestle with the instinct to hide. But the fact that they choose to let you in, even for moments, tells you everything. It means you've broken through barriers others never have. It means your presence in their life is not replaceable. It means they can't stop loving you, no matter how much their fear tells them to pull away. And here's something deeper. Letting you see their true self isn't just about trust in you, it's about healing in themselves. When they reveal their authentic side, they are breaking a lifelong pattern. They are rewriting their story. They are taking a step toward intimacy, vulnerability, and real love. And that doesn't happen unless their feelings are profound. This is why you can't ignore it. When someone who usually hides suddenly begins to reveal, that's not an accident. That's not casual. That's love so strong it refuses to be silenced. So when you notice an avoidant letting you glimpse their real fears, their real hopes, their real soul, understand how powerful that is. Don't dismiss it as small. Recognize it for what it truly is, the deepest evidence of love they know how to give. Because at the end of the day, the strongest sign that an avoidant can't stop loving you is not in what they run from, but in what they allow. And when they allow you into the most sacred parts of their heart, you can be sure they love you in a way they can't escape, deny, or replace. That is their truth. That is your proof. And that is love, undeniable and unshakable. Love is not always neat. It is not always spoken in the language we wish to hear. With avoidance, love is messy, complicated, and often disguised behind walls of fear. But if you've listened carefully, you now know the signs. You know that behind every retreat, every silence, every push away, there can be a deeper truth, love that refuses to die. When an avoidant can't stop loving you, it will always find a way to reveal itself, even if not in the form you expected. Think about the patterns we uncovered. They always come back, no matter how far they run. They hold on to the connection even when they try to let go. They reveal their love in actions more than words, and they protect you even when they're distant. They let their jealousy slip through. They create quiet rituals that anchor them to you, and they show up when life gets real. And most of all, they let you see their true self, a part of them hidden from almost everyone. These are not accidents. These are not coincidences. These are the undeniable markers of love. And here's the shift I want you to take with you. Stop measuring love only by what's familiar, what's obvious, or what looks like the movies. Love is not always loud. Love is not always constant. Sometimes love is hesitant. Sometimes love is quiet. Sometimes love is full of fear. But even in its imperfect form, it is still love. And when you learn to see it for what it is, you unlock a deeper understanding of yourself and the people you care for. The truth is, avoidants love just as deeply, sometimes even more deeply, than anyone else, but their fear clouds their expression. Their past wounds shape their behavior. And yet, despite all of that, when they cannot stop loving you, their actions betray them. They run, but they return. They hide, but they reveal. They resist, but they show up. They fight themselves, but in the end, love always wins a small victory. And those victories add up to something undeniable. They can't let you go. So what do you do with this knowledge? You hold it with strength and compassion. You stop chasing validation in the wrong places, and you start recognizing the truth of what's in front of you. You understand that if an avoidant is showing these signs, it's not because you're weak. It's because you've touched a part of them no one else has, and that is power. That is significance. That is love. But more importantly, you learn to stand tall in your own worth, because their love, as complicated as it may be, is not a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of their capacity. You are already enough. You are already worthy. Their inability to fully express love does not diminish the fact that they feel it. And once you anchor yourself in that truth, you stop doubting yourself and start living from a place of power. And finally, remember this, the strongest sign that an avoidant can't stop loving you is not in the running, the hiding, or the distance. It's in the fact that despite all of it, they remain tethered to you. They cannot break free. They cannot cut the cord. They cannot let go, because love, true love, is stronger than fear. And no matter how hard they try to deny it, love always leaves its mark. That is your proof. That is your power. And that is the truth you take with you from this moment forward. Thank you for walking with me through this journey today. If you stayed until the end, it means something in this message spoke to your soul. And that's not an accident, because deep down, you know that love, even when complicated, has a power that cannot be denied. I want to thank you not just for listening, but for being brave enough to seek understanding. Most people run from the difficult parts of love. Most people only want the easy, the simple, the obvious. But you're here because you want truth, you want clarity, you want growth. And that tells me one thing: you're stronger than you realize. So take what you've learned today and let it shift the way you see yourself and the way you see others. If you recognize these signs in your life, let them remind you that love doesn't always fit inside a perfect box. It comes with imperfections, with struggles, with fears. But that doesn't make it any less real. If anything, it makes it more powerful. To those of you who have loved someone avoidant, I honor your patience. I honor your resilience. I honor the way you've held on to hope in the midst of silence, distance, and doubt. And I want you to hear me clearly. You are not weak for loving deeply. You are strong. You are rare. You are proof that love can endure even the toughest battles. As you leave here today, carry this truth: love is never wasted. Every connection teaches us, shapes us, and transforms us. Even when it feels difficult, even when it feels one-sided, love is still the greatest teacher of all. And if someone cannot stop loving you, even in silence, even in distance, that is a testament to the power you hold in their life. So go forward with your head high, your heart steady, and your spirit unshakable. You deserve love in its fullness. You deserve love that chooses you without fear. And the more you live in your truth, the more you will attract it. Thank you for being here, for opening your heart, and for choosing to grow. Until next time, keep standing tall, keep loving deeply, and remember, love is always stronger than fear. Goodbye, and I'll see you in the next message.